William Collins presents Snow Widows by Katherine MacInness, read by Jane Mcdowell. No Man is an Island, John Donne, 1624. The story of Captain Scott's adventure, of 5 men who trekked to the South Pole, has been told from a male perspective so many times that it would take a book to list them. This is not that book. For the first time, this group biography looks at the expedition from a fresh perspective, through the eyes of the women they left behind. This book is dedicated to 5 heroines, 5 real women with flaws and foibles who are to me, and I hope to you, no less impressive than the knights who flew their colours. Stop the garden party? My dear Laura, don't be so absurd. Of course, we can't do anything of the kind. Nobody expects us to. Don't be so extravagant. Laura protests. But we can't possibly have a garden party with a man dead just outside the front gate. Oh, Laura. Jose began to be seriously annoyed. If you're going to stop a band playing every time someone has an accident, you'll lead a very strenuous life. The Garden Party by Catherine Mansfield, 1922. Author's Preface. The Lady Question. The figurehead is descending slowly from the shelf, high up in the National Museum of Wales storage unit, just north of Cardiff. It is January, and the shed is unheated, but she wears a snow-white, off-the-shoulder dress, a serene expression on her half-smiling face. Her right hand is held across her chest, over her heart. Her left holds her dress out of the waves, or in this case, the arms of the forklift. Looking at her from the side, I notice what looks like the scrolled top of a violin, where she was attached to the prow of Captain Scott's expedition ship, the Terra Nova, over a century ago. The figurehead is taller than me, at least on casters. Her elegance is undeniable, her stoicism second to none. 110 years ago, this wooden lady arrived at the Ross ice shelf, fully expecting to bring Captain Scott and his 4 companions back home. While she was at the bottom of the globe, many weeks sailing from the nearest cablehead, 5 women waited anxiously at home for news. Back then, she was the only female allowed to the Antarctic. This story is set against the lady question, as it was referred to in the imperialist, anti-suffrage Royal Geographical Society in London at the time. "Can a lady be a fellow?" asked the patriarchal hardliners rhetorically. Of course not. Unless, of course, they were the third sex, namely militant suffragettes, who the society were at pains to exclude. After a protracted tussle, over half the 163 women admitted as members in 1913 were explorers and travellers. Of the others, a small group were appropriately connected wives or widows. These women, according to a recent paper published in the Royal Geographical Journal, included Mrs. Oates, wife of Captain L.E.G. Oates, who accompanied Captain R.F. Scott on the expedition to the South Pole. Which is all very well, except that Captain Oates didn't have a wife. He wasn't married. So who was she? Who was this Mrs. Oates? Who were the hitherto invisible wives and mothers, the Snow Widows, behind that most famous selfie of 5 doomed men lined up at the South Pole on the 18th of January, 1912. Scott of the Antarctic still drags his sledge through eponymous archives, official diaries and authorized biographies. But in order to answer that question,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?